While waiting for this to dry, I spilled some paint on here and I tried to wipe it down. I got a really cool effect. So what I did is on the jelly plate, because I'm going to end up using this anyways, I took some phthalo blue in with a little bit of transparent red iron oxide, and because the transparent red iron oxide is it has a little bit of orange in it, it turns a little green. With a lot of water, a lot of water, and what I was doing was just doing this, and taking a paper towel and just blotting it. And it's really cool. And what makes it look really cool is that the green, green is opposite in the color wheel than red, so the colors look really nice together. This is almost dry. This stuff here takes a little bit longer to dry, so we're just going to let it do its thing. And I'm just going to bring some of that paint right down in here. It is transparent, so it's fine. Just slightly over so we don't see a harsh line. And I can add a little bit more transparent red iron oxide to it if I wanted to make it a little bit more on the red side, or on the brown side I should say. You could even use black if you want. But you'll need to add a little bit of extender to that to make it really transparent, depending on the black that you're using. And a lot of water here just so I can bring that glaze down just over this. Underneath the flap, it doesn't matter. Just going to use big X strokes like this so I just don't want to see a line. When I say a line, I don't want to see any ridges of paint. So I'm just feathering everything out. The only thing is, over the orange, it does make it a little bit more muddy because blue and orange are opposite each other on the color wheel. We can fix that though. Well, actually, there's no way of fixing it, but we could just soften the effect. And I just, with water, just bringing it up a little bit higher. It's more water than paint, but I'm just bringing that up just so, again, it'll just neutralize all the colors. So it's, in essence, what I'm doing is I'm putting a glaze over everything. A glaze is a transparent layer of color which allows the underlying layer to show through. Underlying layer, textures, patterns, images, whatever, to show through. And then what it gives you is optical color mixing. It's not physical. Physical color mixing is taking blue and yellow together to make green. And what I call optical color mixing is when you have a layer of, let's say, yellow, and then you do something like stamp or whatever, then you put a transparent layer of blue over some areas, and those some areas will turn green. Because they're transparent, the yellow and blue will give you green. And if you use glazing medium in between, that'll look even better, because then you'll have more light shining through every layer, and it will be quite luminescent. I forgot this side. I just wanted to knock everything down just a smidgen. Bring a bit more blue. Ooh, that's phthalo blue. Ah! And we all know me better than anybody else, and I am not going to leave it like that. But I'm liking that. Phthalo blue is one of those colors, those pigments. If I use it, I get it on everything. Any of the phthalo colors are like that. I'm just going to use this just around the edges. Just a little bit. Grunges up the edges a little bit. See, this is supposed to be really, really grungy, which is hence the name Dark Side of Vintage. Old. Now, Dark Side of Vintage could be just black and white. You could have dark meaning evil, dark meaning, you know, secrets and stuff like that. It's all how you interpret it. There is no written rule on what the dark side of vintage means. It's how you interpret it. Okay. Is this dry yet? Not even close. Not even close. Okay, I'm going to get my heat gun. I'm going to quickly just dry the outside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I'm going to work the stamping into this while this stuff has time to dry. Okay, I'm going to use up the color that's there. I'm going to add a little bit of orange. It really, what you want is any type of, oh my gosh, that's sealed. Any type of dark color. You can take black, ink, whatever. Well, yeah, you could use ink if you wanted to. But I'm just going to take anything like this. I just want to show you how to do it with acrylics. And I want to save some time, so yeah, I am going to add some black to it. I'm going to save some time. This is carbon black that I put into a smaller container. And I'm just going to mix that up. All right. Now when I do some stamping with a gel plate, I work with very, very, very thin layers. And I'm just going to get this going. I always like to prime my brayer first. And what I'm looking for is a layer very similar to this, where I can almost see through it. And this is really totally dependent on your environment. It depends on how hot your room is, or how dry, how humid. It's a feel that I'm going for. It's almost where it's very thin. The paint isn't quite sticky yet, but see how it's flattening out? I'm going for something like that. And as I'm doing this, every time I use the roller, it's less and less paint. That's what I'm going for right here. I can slightly see through it. And this you have to do fast. I can take any random stamp, and then these two, as I use them, I will put them into a bucket of water just to sit until I've had time to clean them. So this is, let's see, a stamp. This is a Tim Holtz stamp. I have no idea what it's called, visual artistry. There's a text block here. I can just pop the text block on there, okay? And then I didn't get ink over everything, just random pieces. If you had ink over everything, what you can do is, I like using my fingers, especially on these clingy stamps, and I will just push with my fingers, and I won't use the entire stamp. So you get these broken images. If I'm using a rubber stamp like this, I'll do the same thing. I'll just kind of pad where it's very, very thin. And then what I can do is take a piece of paper, tear it, like so, and I'll just do this. And then I will have just a portion of the stamp showing. Okay? See, it's just a portion of the stamp. A stamp that has words that you don't really want to put on there. So I've got the word friend here. I can take a brush. This is best done with a brush, and just paint around it like so, and then stamp, and I get that. That's flippin' awesome. And then I have another stamp. Chapel Road art stamps. This is from Canada. I didn't even know this company even existed. And it's a beautiful text block with flowers, and I can just randomly just put ink where the text is and push that in there. I don't know if that's going to work. Yeah, it did. It just brought that out. So you can easily put stamping stuff around, even upside down, and you'll fill, where's the rest of it? And you'll fill your page with text. The text is not meant to be written. It's meant to just be as an accent behind the scenes. Like so. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. These ones here, though, the more fine the stamp is, I find that the harder they are to clean. So when you use them, make sure that you rinse them right away, especially when you're using acrylics. The other thing you can do is just use watercolors. You won't go wrong with that. Okay, so that's a technique that I'm going to use. Actually, I'm going to keep that. I like what I have here. Let's see what this will look like. And as I start running out, I'll just put a little bit more ink in there, or paint in there, and just kind of scrape that off a bit. And let's see. It's just layers upon layers. This is not anything specific. This is just experimenting. I could even cut this out for an ATC to use as a background, or card, or whatever. But this is just ways to get text into the back of your page. This is amazing. I am totally loving this. Let me take another one. And now, if you've never done mono printing before, doing this, I have to show that. I have to show that. Let me clean this up and show you how to do this, but with mono printing. Give me 2 minutes to set up. All right, mono printing. Now, I wasn't intending on showing this to you now, but I'm going to anyways, because this is a real good opportunity to create your backgrounds, because I know a lot of my not so much my students anymore, because I don't teach a lot of this stuff anymore online, because I've already done so many free videos. But people say, well, oh, I'm stuck with the white page, the journal page, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is so cool. So the jelly plate only it comes in a couple of sizes. You're limited to the size of the plate. So for this one, I'm going to use 5x7 as an example. But my friend Mary had sent me a whole bunch of gelatin that I can make a large permanent type of plate, and I can't wait to give that a try. So now my paper's kind of going crooked because I'm too lazy to bend this properly. This is just Lane Nickel watercolor paper. It's not terribly thick, but for this it doesn't matter. Mono printing is the process of inking a plate, stamping, stenciling, doing all these different types of things, putting your paper on top, lifting it up, and then you have a print. Mono printing means one. I never make just one, I make many until the paint is gone. But when you do text, everything is in reverse. Okay, is that a bad thing? No, it's not. You know why? Because when we do mono printing, we don't necessarily want things to be in a readable fashion. We want a background. So by doing it like this, I'm not going to use these, I'm going to use this. Creating a background is a supporting piece. It's not the main feature of a page. It can be, but your prime element should be what grabs the attention. But these backgrounds are just meant to be something cool. Okay, you can't really see a heck of a lot there, can you? Okay, the paint was a bit thick. Let's try it again. And also left it on there a little too long. Let me get some water in there. Transparency is key. And by stamping, what I'm doing is I'm removing. I'm doing a lot of removing. Now these make the backgrounds in reverse. So what I'm removing, as I pull this up, I'm removing paint. And I'm basically left with a pattern. If you still have too much, like what I have here, I can make just basically what I call them throwaways, just to get everything set. Okay, just make another layer. The paint was just too thick. That's why it's all dependent on your environment. Let's try again. There we go. See? Now I'm going to do it this way so you'll be able to see what a negative print looks like. There. Isn't that cool? It's in reverse though. But it doesn't matter. It's just a background. It's just a background. So even when doing this, watch so I'm making these extra lines here. And I can take this book plate, and this one will remove even more ink. Now I'm going to have to soak these in 1000 Plus stain remover just for a few seconds to get any dried acrylics out of there. It's best if this is done with actual water, like the acrylics with the watercolor medium. Oh yeah, this is perfect. Look at that. Okay, see how you have the line there? Definitely something happening in the back. Again, you can do this with any color. Bring some more down. Now I have two lines here which are a bit too perfect for me. So let's break that up. I can spray a little bit. Okay, let's see what's happening. Now I can take stamp and actually stamp into this. Okay, I'm actually coming back in and stamping on top, which will give me yet another type of print. This part here is going to be smushed because I added water to it. Okay, that's another kind. This would have been perfect if I had not missed this. Well, what I can do is when it's dry, I can come back and stamp it again or make another print. So I think you're getting an idea now what I'm talking about. So if I want to randomly now put some text, remember, it's going to be backwards because of the ink, the stamp. Everything is in reverse. Okay? Which is fine because we are just doing this as a background. But something like this with a word in there may not be the most appropriate thing to do. This one might be a little bit better because there isn't anything. Whoopsie. See what I did? Too much. Too much, too much, too much. What's that going to look like? That's actually not bad there. Let me just remove a bit of this. Just evening that out. There was too much of a glob of paint there. And when you're cleaning your plate, you get the area wet again, and then the things come up so much easier. There we go. Now again, this stamp is a little too small for what I'm doing because the pattern is constantly repeating itself. But the content of the stamp is perfect because it's just random letters and text. So I think it's pretty self-explanatory what I'm doing here. But you could, I have so many backgrounds done like this because it's great. You're not stuck with a white page. You're not working from white page, so it's really, really cool. Okay, so this is just an idea on how to give yourself different ideas. Now, you don't have to use a jelly plate. There's recipes on the internet how you can, I have one online as well where I've made a gelatin plate. There, look at the negative. How perfect is that? I've made the gelatin prints from using Knox gelatin. It's very hard to find here, so I don't use it very often. That's why I bought the plate. But the problem is the limit of the size of the plate. That should give you some really good ideas. And you'll know when the plate feels right. There we go. So it took a few times to get the right look. I can just fill into the side. You will never get the same look twice. It'll be totally unique. There we go. And then this one here, I can come in. Now, I'm not saying use this stamp, I'm just showing you examples. And you can come in and go back over. Okay, so think of it as a different stamp. But ideally something that doesn't have a word that is focused, like focused on a word like this one here, you know, with the word cherish or friend or whatever. See? These are cool. So that's the technique I'm going to use for the inside of the page once it's dry. These are really cool. And I just came up with another idea. If I could bind these, if I use this text into little pages about this big and make myself a mini journal to make it look like a little novel and include that with my journal page, because this journal page is all based upon my trips of going up north, and I like to read when I'm outside. My favorite thing to do when I'm outside is to read. I'm just using up the leftover paint now. I don't want to waste it. Nah, I don't think so. Anyways, so that's it. So I'm going to go back to get my page now, and I'll continue on. Okay, I finished cleaning up everything. Now, Mia's come upstairs because she's ready to go out. But this still hasn't dried yet, and I thought of something else that I want to do. I took a little bit of black acrylic paint and I really diluted it, and I'm going over some of the areas. And what I want to do is I want to knock these back down even more. I find that they stick out just way too much. And just to show you that I can just even further intensify where I'm going to have that clustering of trees. As I'm saying, let your page tell you what to do. What I started off with was not what I ended up with. I want to focus this a little bit more. I'm just taking a little bit of paint. I'm using my fingers because I can really work fast. It's just the way I like to do things. You don't have to use your fingers. This is is going to be glued down, so I don't care. Now this is just tacky, so if I do go over it, it'll be a very, very light coverage. I'm making sure that it's completely black underneath. And yes, I am using actual carbon black now. I'm not using a mixed black because I just want to save some time. This is more the look I was going for. I think I just ripped a part of the book page off. Okay, then with a damp towel, just pick some of these. Now this is easier with a baby wipe or a kitchen wipe. Just pick certain spots and just pull out, like wipe down some of the paint. Oh, that's really cool, to distress it. It's got to be done while it's wet. And don't wipe all the stuff off. Just leave a few little pieces showing like that. That's a book, that's the actual paper coming off. I pressed that a little too hard. Not gonna edit that out. There we go. That's more what I was going for. And I'll just kind of scumble over here. We still have an obvious glow. Just kind of finishing off the edges. It's going to be very, very focused. We'll still have lots of that glimmer. See that glimmer? But you can see where the edge of that glimmer is, like that. See? Now I can fix that by just going with the black glamour dust and doing that, but I don't want so much shine. I don't want so much shine. But it doesn't bother me to the point where I'm going to be like obsessed about it. There we go. So there's kind of like the color, trying to reduce the glare. Okay. And mind you, if some of you have glamour dust, I could at least show you what to do. So if you've got the glamour dust black, it's not really a true black. It's almost like a gray, but what you want to do is you really want to make it transparent. So I would go over, basically what I did with the black, you would do it with this instead and just wipe everything back. You got to work fast to make sure the stuff doesn't dry on top of the pages. Okay, so this is if you don't want to have any matte finish anywhere on your paper. If you want it to be totally shiny, this is what you would do. Okay, so you would do that, and then come back, you can use your sponge even, and just kind of distribute that around, and come in and wipe down some of your book pages. This is totally up to you. So I might as well show you. See? You can do that. And then what I'll do is I'll let this dry, just so you can see. Yeah, so much for not being a lesson. I just wanted to turn the camera on to show you. But I like explaining stuff, because I mean, I wish I had somebody to do that for me when I was learning, and which would have saved me a ton of money. If I can just help one person, then my job's done. There we go. Let me tilt that so you can't. There you go. So that's even grungier. That's even grungier. So I'll just focus that a little bit more, not making a perfect circle. There we go. That looks spooky. All right, so then I can dry that a little bit. And because this was done really thin and I wiped off a lot of it, it won't take long to dry. The middle though is still tacky. You really should wait for that to be dry where it's not tacky anymore. That you really should do that. This isn't a fine art piece. This is just what I call my funky art. I could paint right on top of this. Problem with that is because this is tacky, you run the risk of everything lifting off. Because you think of when this does dry, you're going to have something wet on top and things aren't going to dry at an even pace. So you really should wait for that to dry. But it's not the end of the world if you don't. So you can see how it's starting to dry out. You see the finishes changing. The wet stuff, okay, is starting to evaporate, leaving just behind the black glitter or the black dust. The book pages will take a little bit longer to dry because they are because they're thicker and they are glued to something here, so the water isn't getting absorbed past this. So it will take a little bit longer to dry. I'd say this, probably about another half hour of air time to dry. There we go. Okay, so let me tilt that so you can see. There we go. The problem with doing something like this on camera is all you see is shine. So if I was to do this as an actual, like an actual class, I would be doing this on an easel, tilted, so and the camera changed at an angle, so you'd see this and not all that glitter. Let's go in and just while we're waiting, let's go in and just quickly stamp some stuff. See, if I really wanted to be creative, I could come in and stamp silver paint on top of this black. And some of you are saying, well, that's what you're going to end up doing anyway, so you might as well just do it, because I like letting the page guide me. But no, because I'm running out of time, because Miss Mia needs to go out. Yes, I could come back and finish it, but I would like to get this video done because I have other ones that I want to do. So I'll just come in with this, and I'll just come in and just put some text randomly over some areas just to break up the pattern. You know what? The silver would work so much better. Oh my God, I hate it when I do this. When will I ever learn? Well, oh, okay, Mia's on her bed sleeping, so I'll take advantage of that. Okay, this is the true silver. Let's see if I can do this without mixing all that paint up. This is true silver. Let's see what I can get. Oh my God, that is amazing. But you can see now it's more defined. So I'm going to come in and just kind of rub little bits here to really soften that up, because I don't want the same text being all over the place. So I'll kind of put pressure on the top, just pressure on the side. Okay. And then I can do the same thing with this one, except I don't want that word friend. That's a for sure. So I'll just take a paper towel and just wipe that out. That's cool. Okay. Do the same thing here. This is cherish, and I'll just wipe that. See? You eventually have to fit everything in. You have to tie everything in together. So what maybe, oh, this works beautifully. I'll show it over here, because I already did it. I don't want to do another one because this is a very distinct shape. That worked out beautifully. You need to tie stuff in together. You can't just leave it like that. I mean, I can still come in because I don't have that many text stamps, so I don't want to fill my page with nothing but text blocks, like of the same style. Do I have any more dark paint in there? No. Darn. How about I take what's left over in the sponge? Okay, I'll take what's left over in the sponge and I'll just kind of dust over that a little bit just to break up the shapes because they're all the same. Just put a little bit right there. But I think you get the idea of what I'm trying to do. So at least we have something there. So yeah, you can stamp with silver paint. And if it wasn't the same pattern, if I overlap them, actually might not too bad. See, that doesn't look like the same pattern. How about if I turn it upside down? Turn it sideways. Yeah, that's all right. See? That's even better. But I think I'll just limit it to this area right here. Okay. Oh my God, what started off as something so simple turned out to be so complicated. But it's going to look amazing when it's finished. Painting the trees, there are a bunch of different ways you can do this. I will show you. I'll show you a couple of ways. You can take a round brush, and you're going to use black paint. Just going to put it right back on the plate there, and around like a long round brush, and you can come in and you can do it a couple of ways. Touch, push, and then start lifting and start jiggy-jagging to make a really rough, really rough tree. Let me just pad that. You want your tree to sort of disappear. And then I can come here and I can do the same thing. Touch, push. Like you've had too much coffee, jiggy-jag, and turn your brush, You get all these really cool little branches. Okay, then you find the branch, and you don't make the stroke thicker than what this is. So I would come here and come in and just like so. Come in, and I can do another one. Need a bit more water. I love dead trees. I love painting dead trees. Come here. Jiggy-jag. Oops, see what it did here? The branch is thicker than it is down here. Trees don't grow that way, so I need to fill this out just a little bit, like so. And I can make it a little bit jiggy-jaggier. Okay. You need to taper off as you get up there. Okay, these branches are a little bit thin here, but watch what I'm going to do. Come in here, make it push, and I can, okay, you got a lot of stuff focused down there, so let's do something here. Okay, so you see what I mean? You just kind of do all these little different things. Then I can come here and I can do another one. I can do one that's straight up. On a bit of an angle there. Okay, I'll do this one. And then I'll do another one. These are going to be really, really tall trees with leaves. Can do another one here in the background. And I could do another one here. I could just put okay, little things here and there and everywhere. And some thin ones, some thick ones. Okay, so just some lines. And then I can come in with my fan brush. Okay, the fan brush usually I work dry, but this one I dampened a little bit. Dip into a little bit of black paint, and then you can come in here and we'll just work here, and you can just pity pad over the branches. We have trees like this across the street, and they look so cool. But you gotta make sure you have some areas that are really thick in clumps. But in a painting, don't make the clumps all together. Like here, there's a nice space here, so I can move up a little bit and just put something like that. Okay. And you can make some trees kind of dangle. Little branches, some trees dangle. Some branches dangle. Okay. This is a tree here. My paint is drying. Let's put a nice big clump right here. There we go. See? I like this negative space here, but I'm going to break that up a little bit right here like this. Add a little bit more. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like this for now and let it dry. And this will give time for this part to dry. And we come back, we'll continue on. Okay, I just have one more last thing to do. We just came out from our walk. It's extremely hot outside, and this has had time to dry. Now, unfortunately, I don't know how much of the deep red you can see, but if I tilt this a little bit, you can see. There we go. So, I'm going to just write the words being outdoors. It probably like something, I'm not quite sure why. I'm going to write it in a silver pen. I have a whole bunch of these pens that I was contemplating using. I'm going to stick with the silver in this area here. And my writing is atrocious, so I'm just going to just write something pretty simple. So I'm just going to write the outlines of the words, and then I'm just going to fill them in. Okay, so I'm going to allow lots of space in between because then I can fill them in. Calligraphy artist, I am not. So just being outdoors. No, I know what I'm going to write down. Just being outdoors is enough for me. Okay, so then I'm just going to basically just make these a little bit bigger, but kind of ratty looking. And if your pen stops, depending on the pens that you're using, sometimes if it's too slick of an area or not dry yet, your pen will stop, which is what's happening here. And I'm going to fill this in with a little bit of black as well. And you can stamp the letters if you want. One of my biggest challenges is actual handwriting. So I focus too much on trying to make my writing perfect. So I'm going to make sure I get away from that. Then I can take a black. And I can just, no, this one's not quite, oh, it's not quite taking it. Okay, so forget that idea. What about with a white? Oh, there we go. just on some outside. So think of where this, like the light would be hitting it, just not everywhere. I probably should have started at the top. Yeah, no big deal. The easier way would just be print the text and then collage it. There we go. And you want to know something? To me, that's too intense. That's too intense. So let me try to knock that down a bit. That's way too bright for me. And actually it's just me. If I go back over it with a Krylon, this is the copper pen, just to kind of knock it back a bit. This actually isn't too bad. We're checking to see if it's dissolving the ink. There we go. That's better. Well, now that I think about it, I think probably just doing something with a matte finish would have been better. I'm not through with the bling on this. But anyway, so this is my page. So the whole thing about being outdoors. When I look at the sky, I see the stars, which is something when I first moved to the city, when I was little, we didn't get to see the stars anymore. Now we do. I love reading outside, but to me, right now, it's just a matter if I can be outside. That's enough for me. So the only thing left to do now is I just have to fasten this together, and that way I have a pocket for something that I can put in. But I'm going to leave that this piece here with the insert, I'm going to leave that for another project, because I have to think of what I actually want to put inside. And fastening it, I'm going to be doing it with eyelets, but I don't want it, I have to decide whatever I'm going to do here that it's not going to be interfered with that eyelet. This spread here, when the book is actually bound together, it's going to be two distinctly different pages. It's not going to open up to this. Okay, so I can, at a later time, cover this up with something else. But that is like something, it'll be like a Where's Waldo type of page. So it'll be like so. That'll be, the corners will be glued down or eyelet or fastened. Then it'll be like that, and I'll change this to something else. All right, so let me just get my eyelets, fasten this, and then we'll be finished. So I'm going to show you how I do this, but the actual finishing of these, I do that downstairs because I have to use a hammer. So I just got these eyelets. Now I typically use a hole punch, but the hole punch is too big for these. I have to convince myself to spend the 50 bucks on this, or the 30 bucks on this special hole punch. So right now I'm just using a fabric one. So I'm going to go in here and in the corner, and let's see, that's looking pretty good, but I just realized now that this isn't going to reach. Will that reach the center? No, it won't, so I'm going to have to do that. Oh, let's get crazy. Let's just do it with a stylus. There we go. And then this one here. I'll do this one right about here. Okay. This one I am going to have to do with a hammer because I won't be able to crimp it. Okay. I'm just going to trim off that little edge here. There's a lot of paper here, so whoops. See, I made too much noise. Sorry, Mia. Put that in there. I'm trying to have it so you can actually see what I'm doing. And crimp. Ugh. And then I just, what I do is I then take this downstairs on a metal block and I just hammer them down to make them stronger. If you have a proper punch, then you probably don't need to do that. But let's put that in there. Don't think I can reach that one. Oh, that's not even wide enough. I'm gonna cheat. I'm going to cheat. There we go. So yeah, that doesn't quite reach. So I'll just hammer that down. But this is basically then what you're left with. Oh, and I thought of something really, really cool. Oh, hang on a second. Okay, so remember all those pages that I did monoprinting samples on for you? I took 2 of them that had some nice text and I folded them and I ripped them, and I'm going to put these inside. There we go. And then I've got these little paper clips here. I think I got these at Michael's when I was doing something for the Smash book or something. I don't know. And I can put it just like that, just to kind of tuck that in there. I may keep this here, I may not. I don't know yet. There we go. Alrighty. So I'm still going to ponder doing something here. I'm not liking this, but you know what? For now, it's fine. So there we go. So for me, being outdoors is just to be outside. That's all that matters to me. Just being outdoors is enough for me. I don't have to go anywhere expensive to travel to. I don't have to go to theme parks. That's not for me. For me, being outside when the sun is setting and just enjoying the peace and tranquility, that's enough for me. So I hope that you enjoyed this project, and I would love to see your take on the dark side of vintage, some theme, being outdoors. So join me next time, and until then, stay inspired.